All right, wonderful. So this presentation is going to be on becoming an LMC scholar and what that means. So at LMC, we have a lot of different certificate and associate degree programs that students can go into. These are some of our certificate programs. So we have automotive technology, business, child development, computer science, travel marketing, recording arts, and you're going to see a different variety of courses. If you would like to see more programs, you can visit the link that's down below. And again, these are certificate programs. Camille will go ahead and explain a little bit about the difference of what the certificate programs are. At LMC, we do have over 30 programs of study, and here are just a few. Again, if you want to see the full list, you can visit our LMC website to see all of the different degrees that we have. But we have degrees in a variety of areas: fire technology, administration of justice, biology, chemistry, physics, mathematics, and nursing. And I will go ahead and toss it over to Camille, who will talk to you a little bit more about our career technical education degrees.
Hi, everybody. Good afternoon, good evening. This is Camille Santana. I'm a counselor that works with Los Medanos College, and I focus on career technical education. We have associate degrees and certificates available for students interested in career tech. So if you're somebody that likes to work with your hands, you want to get down and learn technical skills in automotive and electrical technician work, as a nurse, as welding, for an example here, these are great majors and career pathways for you. Next slide, Nanette, thank you. So career tech education, these are trainings that provide you to be prepared to go into careers that are in high demand. CTE programs can be shorter. They range from 4 semesters, 1 to 4 semesters. So you can get something done within 4 months or 2 years, which is about 21 months. Starting salary is often very high for these skilled jobs, and they remain high. Many of the careers that I'm going to mention in just a few slides here, you can make up to $100,000 a year immediately right after finishing. So after a year and a half of studying career tech, you could be earning up to $100,000 a year. The career programs focus on hands-on practice, so you get technical skills, and you also learn from faculty who are coming straight from industry. They've been working in the field and are coming to teach you the behind the scenes of what is it like to work at Tesla? What skills do you need to have? What's it like to work with East Bay Mud and do wastewater treatment or drinking water treatment? And there's industry partnerships and internships. That's really good to have a degree, certificate, and have the experience before you leave LMC. These are some of our industry partners. We have internships with many of these industries within the Bay Area. We also have training specifically to prepare you to work with Subaru or with Tesla, with East Bay Mud, etc., with Chevron and Shell if you're interested in getting into refinery work. Those jobs pay very, very well. So just want to do a quick snapshot. If you're interested in learning more about these different careers, I will be doing a couple breakout sessions after the main portion. But just to get a sampling, we're looking at about $29 to about $50, $60 an hour for some of our career tech programs. Nursing is one of our huge programs that many people are interested in. I will do a workshop in the afternoon or after this, focusing just on nursing and allied health professions. But these are great wages that are going to make you be able to stay in the Bay Area, be able to afford a house, and if you'd like to have a family, they're family supporting. Some new programs we're super excited about is that we have drone technology starting in fall. If you want to become a drone pilot, folks can make about $60,000 a year as a trained professional drone pilot. Construction pre-apprenticeship has started this spring and will continue in fall, but it's a semester that's designed to be completed within 1 semester, 4 months, if you're interested in applying to union apprenticeships. We also have forklift, logistics, operations, and warehouse training. There are a lot of warehouses, and with deliveries that are happening during COVID, there's a high demand for folks to know how to work forklifts. So that's a training you can do in 1 semester. So I'd love to see you in our general sessions afterwards. So I'm doing a general overview for my session 2, and session 3 will be nursing and allied health. Would love to see you, and you can always email me if you have any questions, and welcome to LMC.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Camille. I appreciate it. As it was mentioned, she's going to go ahead and start and give 2 breakout sessions, session 2 and 3. That 2 will be about a general overview, and 3 will go ahead and be nursing and allied health. So we're going to go ahead and continue with the presentation. And so next we want to talk a little bit about associate's degrees and what the difference is between the associate's degrees. So this might look a little bit familiar to you. Students will often see AAs and ASs. So what's the difference? AAs are associates of arts and ASs are associates of science. So no matter if you get an AA or an AS, you're going to want to earn about 60 to a little bit maybe over 60, depending on your specific major, of degree, of transferable degree units to be able to transfer to a 4-year university. This includes courses in general education, so general courses that you need to take in addition to the courses within your specific major. When we talk about general education courses, those are similar to what your A through G requirements would be at your high school. And so students sometimes get a little bit confused about having to take general ed. So just think of it as like similar to your A through G requirements at your high school. These courses are typically equivalent to the first 2 years of a bachelor's degree, and most courses will transfer to a 4-year university. So when a student enters in at LMC, you have freshman status. You complete your freshman and your sophomore year, and when you transfer as a junior typically. And speaking about transfer paths, right? We know that there's many different transfer paths at LMC. So we always like to strongly tell students that LMC can be a starting point, but it can also be an ending point. So your goal does not have to be transfer at LMC. Like Camille mentioned, we have a variety of degrees that would get you in and out of the door and would allow you to go straight into the working force. So LMC, you can think of it as an ending and a starting point, depending on what your specific goal is. For students who are interested in transferring, we have a couple of different areas that students can transfer to, right? So we have California State Universities. California State Universities are schools like Sacramento State, San Francisco State, CSU East Bay. UCs are universities of California, and those are schools like UC Davis and UC Berkeley. And then we have our HBCUs, which are historically Black colleges, and we also have our private schools, which are schools like Stanford. Some of our most important transfer tips when we are talking to students is that a lot of students don't know that they can get AATs or ASTs. So those are guaranteed admission agreements to CSUs. And you can also tag into UCs. So those are also transfer guaranteed admissions to the universities of California. We do strongly suggest for students to always meet with a counselor, set up an hour appointment to make sure that you're on the right track. You'd be surprised by how many students didn't realize that they needed one extra class to just be able to transfer to the school of their dreams. So we would hate for that to happen to you. This is something that's super important, and we do strongly suggest for you to always meet with a counselor to make sure you're on track. We do also encourage students to join learning communities, student government, and or campus clubs, and that helps keep students more well-rounded. We'll talk a little bit more about our learning communities in the next slide. And of course, we do suggest for students to use our free tutoring services. It is so important that we have free tutoring services available. It's a great benefit to our students, and a lot of our current LMC students take a big advantage with that. So learning communities. Learning communities are specialized programs that are on campus and available for students. Students who get connected and involved early are more successful and complete their degrees or transfer paths faster than students who don't. So being part of a learning community or a special program definitely enhances your experience at LMC. I know I was part of a learning community at LMC when I was a student there, and I think it benefited me tremendously when I was a student. It allowed me to get involved in campus activities. It allowed me to meet more peers. It also allowed me to get in contact with a mentorship program. And my mentor who just retired from LMC actually was a great benefit to me. It was able to get me connected to more programs and services on campus. So the learning communities that we have available are Umoja Scholars, Puente, Transfer Academy, Honors, and Mesa. And just as a reminder, our first breakout session is going to be all about learning communities. So you'll be able to join a breakout room and learn a little bit more about the different learning communities. All right, so let's switch gears a little bit. And now we want to talk about what a typical student's schedule could look like, right? So a first semester schedule for a full-time psychology student is the example that we're using right now. So if you are interested in being a full-time student, you are going to be enrolled in 12 units or more. So full-time equals 12 units or more. To be able to succeed, you do have to commit the time in and out of the classroom, and you also need support from family and friends. It's super important to get that support, especially on those days when you're really stressed and you might be studying for a test. It's great to have friends or peers that you're able to study with, or have understanding from family and friends that right now you need a little bit of alone time to focus more on school, right? We do also want students to manage their time well. So we tell students that being a full-time student is almost like having a full-time job, right? So you need to commit a lot of time in and out of your online learning classroom environment to be able to be successful. So you'll see that this is a typical schedule for a student. Again, every major would have you take different classes, and every student might be taking different classes depending on whether or not you want to be full-time or part-time. But this is what a typical schedule would look like. A counselor may suggest for students to take their math and English in the same semester, and also to complete one course from their major and one course from general education. So this is a student who's taking 13 units. And a typical rule of thumb is that for every unit that your class is, you should be spending about 3 hours outside of class, focusing on that class, right? So a 13 unit schedule requires a time commitment of about 39 hours a week. So continuing on with a little bit about time commitment, for a first semester student, this is where students get a little bit stuck sometimes, right? We know that you have commitments outside of school. Some students do work, other students have home commitments, right? So this is where we try to help students juggling their time. So you'll notice here that if a student is working 30 hours a week, sleeping 56 hours a week, and driving about an hour a day, right, to and from work or to and from the grocery store or different things like that, right, and you dedicate about 12 hours a week to your social life, routine tasks, right, about 14 hours, so that could be like chores or favors that your family or parents ask you to do. You're eating for about 2 hours a day, and then you want to include your TV time or your me time or gaming. I know a lot of students like to play video games, but then sometimes you have unplanned events as well, right? So that might mean you have a doctor's appointment, or you need to go pick up a sibling from daycare, or you get asked to run some errands for family members, right? And then plus on top of that, you're a student at 39 hours a week dedication time, right, for 13 units. You'll notice that that's 194 hours in a week, and there is only 168 hours in a week, right? So that's where students get overloaded, and we always like to have students be, we don't want you to be overwhelmed, right? So we'd rather you take a look at your personal schedules, make some adjustments. There's a little bit of sacrifices that come along with being a full-time student, right? So if that means maybe cutting down on your gaming time, or thinking about whether or not you can be a full-time worker, or if you have a full-time job, right? There's little sacrifices that students make for them to be as successful as possible. All right. And so we really want students to be as prepared as possible when they get ready to get registered for their courses. So when we talk about having early registration and making sure that you're on the right track, we want students to have the best registration date possible. So for summer students, students who are interested in signing up in the summer, registration began on April 12th. for students who have completed these early registration steps, right? So the early registration steps include your online orientation, your online math and English assessment, and then setting up an educational plan. Also includes making sure that you have an application to the college already done, right? And so you'll see how it's almost a month in difference for students who have completed these early registration steps versus the students who have not completed early registration steps. So for students who are registering for fall, fall registration would start on May 8th for students who have completed these early registration steps, and June 3rd for students who have not. So why does this matter? Again, it matters because you are going to be able to be ahead of other students who have not completed these early registration steps to be able to get in the classes that you're desiring. Doesn't mean you have a guarantee, but it does allow you earlier, more time to be able to get into classes ahead of other students. And that's really important because there may be a class that's extremely popular that you're trying to get into. And if you don't have those early registration steps, you're going to have that later registration date, and it's going to, some other student is going to beat you for that last spot in that class, right? So that's why it's super important. If you need assistance with any of these early registration steps, or you have not yet completed the application to the college, session 2 and 3 are going to allow some breakout session for you to join if you need assistance completing the application or completing any of these early registration steps. Okay. And lastly, we do like to mention financial aid options. So students are able to fill out the FAFSA or the California DREAM Act application, and that's super important. We do strongly suggest for students to fill it out. It's a great benefit. Our financial aid office does have Zoom drop-in rooms that students are able to join into if they have questions regarding the FAFSA, or if they're unsure, or if they need to submit extra documents or anything like that. The financial aid webpage also has a chat feature. You can chat with Penny as their chat feature, and you're more than welcome to utilize that. And as continuing LMC students, you'll be eligible to sign up for scholarship opportunities. And lastly, we do have a little bit of information about the FT3. The FT3 is the first time full-time equals free tuition program. And so students are able to sign up for the FT3 program that would allow them to have free tuition for their full 2 years at LMC. So as long as you're a full-time student, this is your first time taking college classes since you've graduated high school, and you are meeting GPA requirements, you're able to get free tuition. So that's an that's an awesome opportunity that we like to talk to students about. We don't want you to miss out on that. And lastly, this might look a little bit familiar to you all. It could have been, it was in the brochure that was sent out to high school students about our remote student services. So this is just some of our services that we have in our student service as part of student services. And we do like to highlight their phone numbers and their emails. A lot of our services have started to use Google Voice numbers. So it's important for you to know those numbers if you're trying to reach, for example, the counseling department. Also, the outreach department is having drop-in Zoom rooms Monday through Thursday from 3 to 5. So you're able to drop in and ask us any general questions that you might have throughout the week if you need help registering for classes, or if you're not sure how to set up a counseling appointment, or just general questions that you might have. That's what we're always here to help with.